And welcome to the show. Thanks for thanks for tuning in. Great to be with you. I hope you're having a wonderful day, wherever and however you may be listening or watching the show, and whatever you may be doing. We got to get me some electric voice mics. We're going to work on that. And we are coast to coast, including Hawaii, and we're global, and we can prove that. We have the reports, right, Gary? We do, huh?
We do. We do.
And we're happy to be able to come into your neck of the broadcast woods and share with you. There's so much to share about health, wellness, and well-being. And I report a lot on traditional science and what we're learning because it's an evidence-based show. And I also reach into the realm of relationships because they're part of wellness and well-being and have an impact on our health. And I try to keep an open mind. It's hard. I mean, we're all biased. Objectivity is a matter of degree. And it's really probably subjectivity in degree, trying to be objective and to work through your own biases and not to become ideological and so opinionated that you can't listen and learn from others who have a different point of view. And this leads me to saying to you that today I want to share with you before our guest comes on about a topic or a theme that is somewhat controversial. I'll lead into it by first telling you about a story that appeared on Healthline. And the headline on the story was, "We may still be conscious after we die." Now, that's a provocative headline. And if you're watching the show, Gary is showing you the story, and they open up the story with, they reference the movie Flatliners. I'm sure many of you have seen that movie.
They remade it, so they're second version of it.
Mm-hmm. And this is a story about a study on this topic of near-death experiences. And in the story, they quote a Dr. Sam Parnia, co-author of a recent study of life after death. And this was done by he and his group of researchers at NYU Langone School of Medicine. And here's what Dr. Parnia said, quote, "Death has always been defined by when the heart stops beating, because what happens when the heart stops beating is that there's no blood getting around the body. So almost immediately a person stops breathing and then their brain shuts down and becomes non-functional. This is clinically referred to as cardiac arrest." Close quote. Now, Dr. Parnia goes on to talk about that when a person is resuscitated, like with CPR, for example, the brain only gets about 15% of the blood that normally would be circulated into it. And then he says, quote, this isn't enough to reactivate the brain. So the brain in large remains flat and does not function during CPR. He says, as soon as the heart stops, you not only lose consciousness, and your brainstem reflexes are all, affected. Or is affected. And he said that we think of death as a finite time. And he says, but science has come to understand that after a person has died, the cells inside the body start to undergo a process of death themselves, which he says takes a number of hours after the person is dead, close quote. They make a special point to say that Dr. Parnia is not inferring that a individual who has been pronounced dead, that they're actually alive. or that after they die, their brain and organs are working. He's not suggesting that. His essential purpose and point is that cells don't decompose immediately. It takes time. Ask a mortician. Ask a medical examiner. I used to have interesting conversations with Dr. Michael Baden and Dr. Cyril Wecht. I worked with both of them in my work as a trial and jury consultant on cases. Both of them are renowned medical pathologists. And I learned a lot from them in talking with them. But he goes on to say that, so the point of our research was this: if we can restart the heart after a person has gone through the first period of death, before the cells have become irreversibly damaged, then we can bring back a whole person without brain damage, or what's called a disorder of consciousness. Think about the case of Terry Schiavo, which here in Florida we know a lot about, who was in a vegetative state, Dr. Parnia explained. It's a complicated process, but can be done, close quote. Now, again, this topic is controversial and provocative. But I do think it merits consideration and discussion. And there is science now that surrounds and supports NDEs, near-death experiences. I came across an article, by the way, the story about the study that I was just talking about is found on healthline.com. I found an article in The Atlantic, the periodical called The Atlantic. Many of you are familiar with it. And it caught my attention because I was searching around for commentary on the science of near-death experiences, and I found an article in the Atlantic magazine entitled exactly that, The Science of Near-Death Experiences, Empirically Investigating Brushes with the Afterlife. Now, there have been a number of movies in the Atlantic piece, which was in April of 2015 when this article was written. And that's this one, Gary. I'm holding it up so you all can see it. I didn't send you the, sorry. Gary will find it and put it up on the screen as I talk.
I'm actually trying to get a hold of a mortician that I know.
Okay.
See if I can get him to call in.
All right, good. Good, work on that. This is an interesting art. It's hefty. It's 25 pages long. I won't bore you and make it tedious, but there's some things I would like to highlight from the piece that I think are relevant. In the article, article, the author was Gideon. Excuse me, Gideon Lickfield. Points out, the movie Heaven is for Real. And then he points to two recent books back in 2015 were Proof of Heaven by Eben Alexander. Now, that writer is important because this isn't just some person who had a near-death experience. When I come back, I'll tell you who Eben Alexander is. And then there was another book that was written by Mary C. Neal entitled To Heaven and Back. Then there was a book entitled The Boy Who Came Back from Heaven that was published in 2010. That turned out to be something that was all made up. And that's the problem here. There's a lot of hocus pocus and a lot of nonsense that goes on in this realm. It's unfortunate. Come back, I'm going to tell you about Eben Alexander.
I'm Joy McCarthy, holistic nutritionist, and I expect more from my multivitamin. I've researched many vitamins, and what's truly different about Every Woman's One Daily from New Chapter is that it's fermented with probiotics and whole foods and gentle even on an empty stomach. Every Woman's One Daily helps you feel good every day, giving you immune, energy, and stress support, and nutrients for bone and heart health. You will notice a difference. Every Woman's One Daily recently won the Best Multivitamin Award, and I love that it's non-GMO project verified. Discover the wisdom of nature with New Chapter.
Whether you spend your free time on a treadmill, under a car, or in your garden, if your active lifestyle leaves you sore, Body Vigor's Inflammaforce may be exactly what you need. Inflammaforce has a natural herb blend that acts as an anti-inflammatory to help maintain healthy joint and mobility support. There are standardized herbs like white willow, boswellia, turmeric, ginger, and devil's claw. The vegetarian capsule promotes easy digestion and a fast-acting dissolve process. Inflammaforce includes a proprietary enzyme herbal blend full of antioxidants and flavonoids that target pain and inflammation throughout the body. Body Vigor's Inflammaforce contains ingredients that support normal, healthy joint flexibility and function, builds healthy tissue, and helps with your recovery process. So if you're tired of sore joints and inflamed muscles, Body Vigor's Inflammaforce is your answer. Purchase Inflammaforce.
Near-death experiences. Eben Alexander, along with Mary Neal, Eben, who turns out to be, let me give it away here, he's a doctor. And he had a near-death experience, and he wrote about it. He was in a week-long coma, and it was caused by meningitis, okay? And then Mary Neal, she wrote a book. His book was entitled Proof of Heaven. And then Mary Neal wrote a book, To Heaven and Back. She had a near-death experience when she was submerged in a river. They reported in the Atlantic magazine in a kayaking accident. And turns out that recent books by Mary Neal and Eben Alexander recount near-death experiences and tend to have a spiritual view of this phenomenon, and have, how can I put it, brought some respectability to the topic. Eben Alexander, you can't make this up, is a neurosurgeon. He taught and practiced at several prestigious hospitals and medical schools. You know, Brigham and Women's, and as well as at Harvard. And in the Atlantic, they say it was Dr. Alexander who really upped the scientific stakes. They report that he studied his own medical charts and came to the conclusion that he was in such a deep coma during his near-death experience, and his brain was so completely shut down, they write, that the only ways to explain what he felt and saw was that his soul had indeed detached from his body and gone up on a trip to another world, and that the angels, God, and the afterlife are all real as can be, close quote. That's what he reports. Dr. Alexander had not published his medical findings in any peer-reviewed journal. And then a 2013 investigative article in Esquire questioned several details about his account and his crucial claim that his experience took place while his brain was incapable of any activity. Now, you know, again, this is provocative, but it is part of the conversation regarding our health, our wellness, life. Yes, this is a health talk show, but it's really a show about life and death. After all, it's always the topic in the room that sometimes people don't want to bring up. I even got a little pushback, not a lot, when I talked about my experience with cancer over the past year. And believe you me, I was thinking about this morning. I'm taking a big risk in sharing this with you. I've never said this to anybody, or never mind on the air. There were days when I did this all by myself. I don't have a partner, so I was alone through all of it. There were days when I was in my room, at my home, and you could feel lurking the presence of death. I felt that before, once before in my life, which I won't get into. It's hard to explain. People, again, I'm taking a risk in telling you that. I can only tell you what I felt. Because the truth be told, somebody tells you they're not afraid. When you were in the position I was in, well, I don't know who that person is. They're perhaps more courageous than I. But being afraid doesn't mean you're a coward. And I don't know how that was playing into it. But through all of this, there have been moments like that when you feel very close to death. It's a presence. I can't, I don't know what's going on psycho-emotionally. I'm sure a psychiatrist or a psychologist could explain it. They could give that explanation. I'm only telling you what I felt. That's not a near-death experience. This is very complicated. There's biology, there's psychology, your brain. It's very complicated. And when you're very sick, when you're unwell, the world is not the same. Many of you know that. Many of you know that right now listening to the show or watching it. I told Gary I've shared things with Gary I haven't shared with anybody. And one of the things I told him was that during the middle of it all, my senses were so heightened. And as unwell as I was able to dial in. He saw me work every day and able to think, able to write my music, doing all the things better than I ever did them. And I can't explain that. I don't know what that's about either. But these near-death experiences, I don't dismiss this concept or this issue. I do not. And you have been around people who have passed away and watched them and been in the room and all of that. You know what I'm talking about. So whatever it is all about, I'm not sure. But the science will go forward. The Atlantic article is worth reading. The Science of Near-Death Experiences. It's 25 pages long. And that story on healthline.com, we may still be conscious after we die. That story about the study is worth reading.
I posted that to our Facebook.
Good. Thank you. It is about life and death. And it's complicated, isn't it?
The perfect complement to your beauty regimen? Try Form Essentials Zinnia. The finest of its kind, Zinnia offers twice as much biotin as other formulas, which has proven to unlock the vibrancy in even the dullest of hair, skin, and nails. Zinnia breaks through and rejuvenates cells internally, helping you achieve the allure of effortless beauty. Reviving your hair, skin, and nails has never been easier. This essential blend of biotin, alpha-lipoic, and hyaluronic acid, collagen, and vitamin C creates lasting enhancements to your natural good looks. Don't go on wondering. You're worth the results. This combination of ingredients can only be found in Zinnia. Pamper yourself with a proven bit of affordable luxury and start looking your best. Ask for Zinnia by name at your nearest vitamin retailer to begin your journey to restored nails, head-turning hair, and radiant skin today. For more information, visit formessentials.com.
When your alarm goes off, do you jump out of bed with excitement? Or does it take multiple alarms, a few snooze buttons, or a morning caffeine fix to get you going? These habits and daily stress cause a vicious cycle in which sleep becomes increasingly elusive. In fact, 54% of Americans report struggles to fall or stay asleep. For a better night's rest, look no further than Solace, an all-natural dietary supplement that supports healthy sleep and relaxation, so you get the rest you need to wake up clear-eyed, alert, and ready for the day. Solace has given thousands a better night's rest and the power to take back their mornings while enjoying the day ahead of them. Solace is formulated with non-addictive, scientifically proven, all-natural ingredients that support sleep and relaxation, such as melatonin, tryptophan, and 5-HTP. For more information or to order Solace, visit takesolace.com. Solace for healthy sleep naturally.
Thank you for tuning in today. Dr. Marita Show is my guest today. And you need to give me a tan, Gary. Dr. Show is a regular guest on Let's Talk Nutrition. And thank you for catching the show wherever and however you may be listening or watching it and whatever you may be doing. And Dr. Show is a practicing naturopathic physician in British Columbia, up in Canada, and is an educator for natural factors. Dr. Show, there you go. Welcome back to the show, Dr. Show.
Thank you.
How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. How many years have you been practicing in the clinical setting?
I just had my 12-year anniversary.
Mm-hmm. And in the 12 years, how many patients different patients do you think you've seen? Different ones. Just a rough guess.
How many patients in total have I seen?
Yeah. It's in the thousands, right?
Oh, probably, yeah.
It's in the thousands, right? Different patients. How?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Sure. How many have passed away? Do you know? You have a sense of that?
Oh, that's a good question.
15%, 20%?
Possibly. I'd probably say 10 to 15%.
10 to 15%. You always, when you come on the show, you're always walking into something, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm like, where are you going with this?
Okay, where am I going? Where am I going with it? Have you ever had any of your patients talk to you either about their own or another's near-death experience?
Let me think. Nothing comes to mind off the top of my head.
Yeah, the answer would be no, because if they did, you'd be able to say right away. I would expect you to have said yes. Nobody's ever sat in front of you and said, Dr. Show, when I was in the hospital and I had meningitis and I was almost dead, this is what you would remember that narrative, I'm sure, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Have you ever read about, thought about, talked about near-death experiences, either in your formal training or just you out of being curious?
No, I haven't actually.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. I was reporting on a story about a study regarding near-death experience, not really near-death experiences, but talking about how when a person dies, when they're pronounced clinically dead, that the cells continue, they don't decompose instantly, that they're still alive, in a sense, still alive. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And that they were, a Dr. Sam Parnia was entertaining the idea that it's possible, if you can keep those cells alive, that you may be able to somehow, and they've done this through, what do they call that when they freeze the body?
Cryogenics.
Yeah, cryogenics, and that's some of that stuff that goes on. And Dr. Parnia says, we think of death as a finite time, but science has come to understand that after a person has died, the cells inside the body start to undergo a process of death themselves, which takes a number of hours after the person is dead, he comments. His point is that cells don't decompose in an instant, Dr. Show. Instead, he says that it takes a few hours before they reach a point in which the decomposition process is when the cells are totally unsalvageable. He said, but there's a point when the cells are salvageable. Because they're in.
Oh, wow.
And he says, so the point of our research is, if we can restart the heart after a person has gone through the first period of death, before the cells have become irreversibly damaged, then we can bring back a whole person without brain damage or what's called a disorder of consciousness. Think about the case of Terry Schiavo, which was here in Florida, who was in a vegetative state. It's a complicated process, he says, but it can be done, close quote. What do you think about that as a physician and as someone who's trained in the sciences? I'm curious.
Wow, that's pretty fascinating, actually.
Mm-hmm. Are you close to the idea of near-death experience? There are several explanations in science. The temporal junction may be responsible for out-of-body experiences, they say. Oh, she dropped off. Oh, is that what that giant click was? Okay, she'll be back. When she comes back, I'll give her the 10 at least 10 scientific explanations for it. I like talking with her because she's curious, and I can take her to this realm and not get her flustered. See, the guests that come onto the show, I never tell them what I'm going to say to them. But this is an important topic, and just as a way to break the monotony of the everyday biology and the things that we talk about on a consistent basis, and trying to add thematic variety, but also interesting ideas. This is an idea. It's a concept. Boy, she really dropped off. So to speak. But you don't have to drop off. You can call us.
You can reach us at 877-897-8255. That's 877-897-8255.
I said to Gary, I said, what are we caught up in, man? What is this thing we're all caught up in, right? Faith. You need faith. That 4-letter word. And we're all in this together. And I know that many of you that listen to this show. This show is a big platform. Thousands of people listen and watch every day. And by the end of the month, we're into the tens of thousands. And just viewing it, it's close to 1 million. So I understand it's a big platform. There's a lot of experience out there. And a lot of you have health challenges, and, flirt with the idea of death, and I have for the past year. So, Dr. Show, welcome back.
Sorry about that. I think we got disconnected.
Boy, that's appropriate given the topic. I don't mean to make light of. I don't mean to make light of death, but I was just curious as to what you thought and felt about this. I'll come back. I'll get your take on it. I know you didn't come onto the show today to talk about NDEs, near-death experiences, but I know you're a physician and it's about health, but being a doctor is about life, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, darn right it is. At least in my opinion. I'm just a mere talk producer and talk show host, and this show is a health talk show, but it's really a show about life. Yeah, we always appreciate your patience with me in these things that I throw at you. You're very good, though. You never have hung up the phone. Well, you just did.
Whether you spend your free time on a treadmill, under a car, or in your garden, if your active lifestyle leaves you sore, Body Vigor's Inflammaforce may be exactly what you need. Inflammaforce has a natural herb blend that acts as an anti-inflammatory to help maintain healthy joint and mobility support. There are standardized herbs like white willow, boswellia, turmeric, ginger, and devil's claw. The vegetarian capsule promotes easy digestion and a fast-acting dissolve process. Inflammaforce includes a proprietary enzyme herbal blend full of antioxidants and flavonoids that target pain and inflammation throughout the body. Body Vigor's Inflammaforce contains ingredients that support normal, healthy joint flexibility and function, builds healthy tissue, and helps with your recovery process. So if you're tired of sore joints and inflamed muscles, Body Vigor's Inflammaforce is your answer. Purchase Inflammaforce exclusively on Amazon.com.
Dr. Marita Show is my guest. Dr. Show, welcome back. So again, thank you for your patience in entertaining some of my explorations into these different topics before you come onto the air. I always like to include you because I've always assumed from conversations with you now over the years that you're curious and interested in these kinds of things. If I take you someplace you don't want to go, you always have to say I'm not comfortable, and I will let it go. So, okay.
No, I find a lot of the topics you bring up are really interesting.
Yeah, we have fun around here. There have been a number of explanations for near-death experiences, scientific explanations. The temporal parietal junction, that part of the brain, they say could be responsible for out-of-body experiences. They say that excess carbon dioxide can create the tunnel and the white light that people see. That particular phenomenon is reported often by people that they see a tunnel with white light. So that's one explanation for that. Lack of oxygen to the brain can cause hallucinations. That's another explanation. Endorphins being released when the brain is under extreme stress is another. Brain activity spikes during moments right before death. That's one scientific explanation. There are numerous ones. But Dr. Eben, who is a neurosurgeon, said that he looked at he had a near-death experience, Alexander Eben, and he wrote a book and is doing this study that I reported on with his co-author, who also had a near-death experience. He said he looked at his chart, and he said that it was his brain was totally shut down. There was no way that he could have experienced what he experienced because biologically he was dead. But he had a near-death experience, and he describes it. So for him, it was very spiritual. He said, biologically, none of these explanations I just gave, and there's many others like that, will explain what he experienced because his brain, he couldn't have experienced them. Interesting, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just wonder, you're trying to keep people alive. I mean, that's your job and healthy at the end of the day, right? I know they come in with illnesses, but your job is to keep them healthy and keep them alive and for as long as they can with quality of life. Am I attributing too much to your job or how you think about it?
With regards to the near-death experience?
No, your job. What I just described as your job, keeping patients alive, your patients alive, you're healthy and doing your best to...
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's like my main goal and objective when I'm working with my patients is, to really emphasize good quality of life and making them feel their best. I mean, probably 90% of the patients that I'm seeing are not coming in because they're feeling fantastic. They're coming in because they are feeling really sick, or they've just been diagnosed with cancer, or they haven't slept in years, or they're tired, or they're not, they're depressed. I mean, there's so many, so many different health issues that people are coming in with. So, yeah, my main objective is to work with them to get them feeling their best and to try to optimize their health.
Have you noticed in your, how many years you've been in clinical practice? 12? How many?
Yeah, 12.
12, okay. Have you noticed a personality change in some of your patients when they've been diagnosed with cancer or have a serious illness or they have the flu or from, minor to severe? Have you ever noticed that their personality does change, that they're different?
Oh, absolutely. I think when somebody is diagnosed with a condition like that, I think they go through all sorts of emotions. I mean, they go through, there's fear, there's anger. It's why me? Why did I get diagnosed with this? And then there's sort of like the unknown of, am I going to make it through this? What's the treatment going to look like? What if, especially if they've got family, they've got children. How's this going to impact my friends, my family, my kids.
And you think,
there's a
all
whole
of that,
bunch of emotions.
you think all of that alters their inner. I mean, do you notice a difference in their interaction with you? That they're different. That they change, either in good ways or bad ways. That's what I'm getting at.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I think you'd have to change if you're going through something like that.
Whether you like it or not, right?
Yeah.
Have you noticed that sometimes they would be more compassionate, less compassionate? You notice anything like that? Irritable. I was talking with somebody. Let me give you an example. I was talking with somebody here at the station yesterday who has a family member who's in serious trouble, and talking about how difficult it is to deal with this family member whose personality has changed, become, how can I put it, unpleasant. All right? And this individual was sharing with me how difficult it is for him to deal with this. And that the personality of this individual has changed so much that he hardly recognizes the individual. Have you ever had those kind of reports or seen that, witnessed that yourself?
Yeah, I mean, and we have to remember too. I mean, depending on certain pharmaceuticals that they're being put on, if they have to go through chemotherapy or radiation, I mean that's going to affect or their hormones. That's going to affect their stress hormones, brain function. A lot of it is related to the news that they're getting or the health concern itself. But then a lot of it has to do with treatment as well, depending on what that looks like.
I guess what I'm getting at is the mind-body connection, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
How you feel affects how you think affects how you feel, and that when a person is well and dealing and having to be the caregiver or live with or have to deal with somebody who's very unwell, it's sort of abstract for the well person what that unwell individual is feeling, the sick person is feeling. It's an abstraction for the person who is not sick. And it's sometimes very difficult to understand and appreciate what's going on with the person who is ill, especially in serious illnesses. It's very, I mean, there are many people listening to and watching this show right now who are caregivers, know exactly what I'm talking about. And those who are sick, who are being cared for, that know exactly what I'm talking about. But I wanted to just explore that with you. I'm interested in what your clinical view was about things. I'm not a clinician, and I rely on guests such as yourself to share with us, what that's all about from a clinician's point of view. What did you want to talk about when you come back?
Oh, I thought it would be good to talk about insomnia.
All right. Well, hopefully we won't do that and put people to sleep. I guarantee you we won't. Dr. Show, Coast to Coast. We'll be back. Welcome to the show. Thanks for tuning in today. Dr. Marita Show is on the show. She's an educator for natural factors, and Dr. Show is going to talk about sleep. Can't get that in a bottle, although people try. Pharmaceuticals. They go down that road, that can be disastrous. There are some natural approaches to getting better sleep, and Dr. Show will talk about that today. And this sleep and rest, everybody talks about it. I wish I had more sleep. I wish I had get better rest. And the statistics on the insomnia, for example, are pretty compelling. About 20% of U.S. adults have some issue with insomnia. Then maybe 10 or so percent suffer from persistent or chronic insomnia. There have been a number of studies taking a look at insomnia, but there's more studies on they'll put you to sleep. You can't get through it all. But there's one study I reported on a while back was about persistent insomnia, chronic, and how it increased mortality risk in people. That link is real. And this connection between persistent insomnia, increased inflammation, and mortality is something that is in the literature and explored quite thoroughly. It's real. And you get caught up in a downward spiral, too. You can't sleep, which causes stress, which increases inflammation, and then which then helps, or not helps, but prohibits you from getting even better rest, and that promotes more stress, more inflammation, and so on, and then downward, and you're spinning, and then people start to do desperate things, taking certain pharmaceuticals that really can get them into a lot of trouble. And it affects quality of life in a profound way. Many of you who suffer from insomnia know that. And again, the literature is pretty hefty with this particular issue. Some people pride themselves, and I never understood this, on not having to sleep a lot. I mean, I only have to sleep 3 hours a night, they say. I don't get that, or that sleep is a waste of time. No, it's not. Sleep will give you more time to live a healthier life. Dr. Show, welcome back to Let's Talk Nutrition. We'll shift from near-death experiences, although people that have insomnia feel like that's what it feels like for many of them. I'm sure that in your clinical practice, this is not an infrequent complaint, right?
Oh, it's huge. I see it numerous times during the day.
During the day, even.
Oh, for sure. I mean, just with clients that are coming in that are just, whether it's men or women, I think the biggest shock for me is how it's affecting our younger population. So, university students or even high school students that are coming in that can't sleep, can't fall asleep, or they're waking up multiple times in the evening because they can't sleep, because they're stressed, because they're worried about their assignments, or they've just got too much on their plate. And what you were saying before, I mean, sleep is, the reason why we need at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep per night. I mean, that's when your cells are regenerating. That's when your body is recovering from, helping to reduce inflammation. Your immune system's getting stronger. I mean, if you're not sleeping, then, a lot of those systems are a lot more vulnerable. And then it increases your risk for, cardiovascular disease or diabetes or, immune dysfunction, autoimmune diseases, or catching, infections, viruses, bacteria, those types of things as well. So it's super, super essential. Like when you look at sort of the different foundations of good health, sleep is definitely at the top of the list with, what you're putting into your body as far as, your diet, exercise. So, sleep's up there too.
Now, you correct me. You're the one that went to medical school. I'm just a PhD trying to get along here. But insomnia can be divided. We can talk about it in terms of extrinsic and intrinsic disorders. Extrinsic disorders, include problems with sleep hygiene, substance abuse, situational stress. Intrinsic disorders include psychophysiologic insomnia, idiopathic or primary insomnia, obstructive sleep apnea, restless leg syndrome, shift work sleep disorder, circadian rhythm disorders, and so on. So that's like a sort of, what they call it, differential diagnosis or something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as a physician, you're always trying to figure out, okay, what's the cause? When did the insomnia start? Did it start after, a stressful event? Did it happen after, like you look for certain trends? Are you, somebody who has a lot of caffeine? Do you look at your, do you spend a lot of time on your computer? Or, I treated this one individual, he had chronic insomnia for probably, he's young, like he's in his 30s, but he had chronic insomnia for about 5 to 6 years because he's in the tech industry.
Tech? Did you say tech?
Tech, yeah, tech industry. And so he would find himself with, and he's a private contractor, and he would find himself on his computer, like in the middle of the night because he was working on these contracts, and he'd be up till like 4 or 5 in the morning, on his computer staring at the blue screen trying to get his work done. And that whole vicious cycle, and then he would like sleep during the day, or nap, and then he'd get up, and then like his whole sleep cycle was backwards. And then just now, it took us about 6 months, but we've now gotten his sleep cycle back to, because he realized that he's like, I can't sustain this type of lifestyle long term. He's like, I'm going to kill myself. Right?
How did you do it? What did you do for him?
Well, I did. We did a lot of adrenal work. So we did a lot of support for the nervous system, because what we were finding is his cortisol levels, which is one of your stress hormones, was sky high in the middle of the night, right? Which would make sense because he was, drinking copious amounts of coffee starting at, 11 o'clock, 12. He'd just drink coffee when you're supposed to be sleeping. He'd be drinking coffee in the evening. And so it was almost like he forced his body to be, it's like shift workers, right? Mm-hmm. They're forcing their body to be awake when your body naturally wants to be sleeping.
And then in the morning,
we had to undo that pattern.
And so you said you did some adrenal work with him. What do you mean by that?
So we did work with regards to resetting his adrenal system. So with regards to adrenal function, we've talked about this many times, but your adrenal glands are your stress glands. They release stress hormones. They're responsible for the fight or flight response. And so we did adrenal work as far as, giving herbs, things like, the adaptogens, like rhodiola, ashwagandha. We did a lot of work with certain supplements that help to calm the nervous system down. So like pharmacaba, L-theanine, we worked on those particular supplements to have him take them later in the day to get his body into that whole rhythm of, okay, you know what? The body needs to unwind in the evening, not ramp up.
There you go. We come back. We'll get into this a little bit further. We'll get you the numbers. You can call. You can participate. We'll be back. Connect.
Women who are pregnant or planning to have a child have specific nutritional needs. Maintaining optimal nutritional intake is important for mother and baby. Body Vigor's Preferred Prenatal can help mother and baby receive the appropriate building blocks for growth, development, and healthy function. The Preferred Prenatal formula provides essential vitamins and minerals, along with added support ingredients such as folic acid and DHA. Preferred Prenatal also incorporates a bonus herbal blend to help the mom-to-be with the uncomfortable side effects of pregnancy, like nausea, vomiting, mood swings, and uterine health. Support a healthy pregnancy for you and your baby with Preferred Prenatal, exclusively on Amazon.com.
More than a few people report difficulty with being able to get good quality sleep, quantity and quality, and end up being diagnosed with insomnia. My guest today is Dr. Marita Show, and she said that this comes up every day in her practice, people having difficulty with sleep. And the American Psychiatric Association's Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, DSM-5, defines insomnia as a, quote, complaint regarding the quantity, quality, or sleep timing at least 3 times a week for at least 1 month, close quote. Now, your sleep is divided into rapid eye movement, REM sleep, and non-REM sleep. The non-REM has 4 stages, and each progressively deeper. Stages 3 and 4, deep restorative sleep, are also called slow wave or alpha sleep. And then, as we age, what happens is that stages 3 and 4, that REM, decreases, and you end up with issues, health issues. Dr. Show, welcome back. You were talking about the adrenal glands and trying to get that one patient of yours squared away on the adrenal glands. And was there a supplement or what did you do? Write a prescription of some sort or another? What did you do in terms of those herbs that you were listing?
So a lot of the adrenal herbs, they're classified as adaptogens. So there's a great formula called Adrenasense that I often prescribe for a lot of my patients to reset that cycle, that good healthy sleep cycle. And then I mentioned a couple of other great supplements like the Pharma-GABA and then melatonin. We've got a great formula called Tranquil Sleep that I use quite often in my practice for shift workers or for resetting the sleep cycle. And I think in his particular case, and in a lot of shift workers' cases, or even people that just, start having sleep issues, is, a lot of studies have shown that, even one bad night of sleep can just set your body's sleep cycle into sort of a downward spiral. So there was one study that I found that if you just have one night of sleep restricted to only 4 hours, your cortisol levels the next night are 37% higher, right? So cortisol is your get up and go, supposed to give you energy during the day. But what they're finding is if you keep having your restricted sleep, if you keep having those shorter sleep cycles, then your cortisol levels are actually increased the day following and throughout that next night. So it's just like that vicious cycle. It just keeps, like the more poor sleeps you're having, the more higher levels of cortisol you're going to have. And then high cortisol blunts your melatonin production, and we need melatonin to get you into your sleep cycle. So it's just, you could see how it just becomes like this circular pattern. So we got to, so my job is to work with my patient to break the cycle, making sure that there's good, like you mentioned, good sleep hygiene.
Okay, that's where I wanted.
With.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but that's where I wanted to go. Sleep hygiene doesn't mean washing your hands before you go to bed, although maybe you should. Explain what sleep hygiene means. Gary had a question. He wanted to know what that meant. Now, he was reading your mind, and I was reading his.
So when I talk to my patients about good sleep hygiene, we are talking about, okay, are you having, sugar or coffee before bed? Are you making sure that you're unwinding? Are you on a computer? Or are you on a blue screen, whether it's like your iPad or phone before bed? Are you having, like a lot of my patients, they do really well with just having a cup of chamomile tea, so that's good sleep hygiene. Because the whole act of getting ready for bed in the evening is you want to support your body to get into that unwinding, relaxed state. You don't want to be ramping your body up. So even in certain cases, like some of my patients, they find it difficult to find time to exercise. So they find, okay, the best time for me to exercise is, in the evening, when the kids are all in bed, and that's sort of my time. And for some people it works, it doesn't affect their sleep, but then for others, if you can imagine, if you're, increasing your heart rate and getting your endorphins going at 9 o'clock at night, going to be harder for you to unwind and go to bed
Sure.
at a decent hour, right?
Sure.
So
And
those are all things that I look at when we're looking at, disrupted sleep.
And isn't it also true that sleep hygiene includes make sure all lights are off, even those little
that's a big
LED
one,
lights
too.
on all the clocks and this and that that may be in the room, keeping the room dark, keeping the room cold, if you will, not hot, and so on.
Yeah, and switching your cell phone. Like, a lot of people use their cell phones as alarms, and then they put their cell phone like right by their head on their bedside table. So another thing that I say is, make sure that if you're using your cell phone as an alarm, like, turn your phone to airplane mode, through the night, so that you're not getting all those extra signals, like all the electromagnetic frequency signals, right by your head as you're sleeping.
Right, or hearing ding when a message comes in, ding,
Yeah.
right, and the light goes on. Yeah, sleep hygiene can also mean the environment in which you are sleeping, and of course, believe it or not, we all know there are more mattress commercials on TV than we have sense. Having the right mattress also is critical, and my producer Gary suffered from insomnia due to sleep apnea, so he's had his matches with it too.
Women who are pregnant or planning to have a child have specific nutritional needs. Maintaining optimal nutritional intake is important for mother and baby. Body Vigor's Preferred Prenatal can help mother and baby receive the appropriate building blocks for growth, development, and healthy function. The Preferred Prenatal formula provides essential vitamins and minerals, along with added support ingredients such as folic acid and DHA. Preferred Prenatal also incorporates a bonus herbal blend to help the mom-to-be with the uncomfortable side effects of pregnancy, like nausea, vomiting, mood swings, and uterine health. Support a healthy pregnancy for you and your baby with Preferred Prenatal, exclusively on Amazon.com.
Yeah, sleep. Some people would give anything to get better night's sleep and more sleep. Welcome back to Let's Talk Nutrition, wherever and however you may be listening or watching the show, and whatever you may be doing. Dr. Marita Show is my guest. And Dr. Show alluded to stress being one of the factors that can cause sleep disturbance and lead to chronic insomnia. And she explained that. You have other medical problems, too, here. Arthritis, for example, allergies, benign prostate hyperplasia, BPH for men, congestive heart failure, all can affect sleep. You can have hormonal shifts. Dr. Show is familiar with this and deals with it in her practice. Commonly associated with women, for example, who are menopausal, perimenopausal, and so on, or postpartum, where you have these hormonal shifts, that can disturb sleep. Medications can do it. These B agonists, these corticosteroids will do it. Beta blockers will do it. Diuretics, antidepressants, H2 blockers can all contribute to sleep disturbance. So, there are any number of factors here. Improper hygiene, the room not being fully dark, and all the things that we talked about. Bad mattress and the whole bad pillow. Who's that guy on TV with the pillows?
Oh, the My Pillow guy.
Yeah, I got 2 of those. They're okay. All right. I like them. So any number of things you can do or consider when you're trying to identify what's causing the sleep disturbance leading to insomnia. Dr. Show, welcome back. So Tranquil Sleep, the adrenal product from Natural Factors as well. What's the exact title of that product?
I'm sorry?
What's the exact title of the adrenal stress product?
Oh, it's called Adrenasense.
Okay. And then Tranquil Sleep is another. You also have in that Stress Relax line at Natural Factors some other supplements that can be helpful, people can take to moderate stress, right?
Yeah, there's also another adrenal formula in the Stress Relax line. I'm just trying to remember what it's called.
You have,
I want to say Stress Less.
Yeah. There's one you can take. Of course, you can take them during the day. That will help moderate Pharmagaba, for example. You can take during the day. Will help moderate some of those cortisol levels and keep you more even and not have you reacting to things as much. That's very helpful. Pharmagaba is part of the Stress Relax line. Gary will probably find that from Natural Factors and put that up on the screen. That Stress Relax line from Natural Factors, there's Tranquil Sleep that he's showing. It's an advanced, fast-acting formula. I've used it. There's only 3 ingredients, 5-HTP, suntheanine, a trademarked theanine, and melatonin. That's it. That product is boss. It really works. So Pharmagaba is another product you can take.
Sometimes and sometimes magnesium, like just having a little bit extra magnesium before can really help to support the nervous system and calm the mind and calm sort of that hyperexcitability in the body as well.
Gary does. You take
The magnesium and the Pharmagaba.
Okay, so he takes both. And has it helped your sleep?
Yeah, unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I sleep so much better and a sounder sleep. Like when I hear things now, I don't wake up in the middle of the night.
Like you did before,
Yeah.
You were sensitive?
Very sensitive.
Yeah, it's more restful, right?
Yes. And you don't, okay, I don't know if you've ever taken a Benadryl and gone to sleep and waken up and have like a Benadryl hangover, like I like to say. This does not give you that hangover, that Benadryl hangover. You wake up and you're raring to go.
Mm-hmm. You feel rested.
Yes.
Terrible feeling, right, Dr. Show? I'm sure your patients tell you this. They go to bed, they're in the bed for 8 or 9 hours. They wake up and they're just as tired as when they went to bed. That's horrible.
Yeah, exactly. And that's just like the quality of sleep isn't there. So, a lot of people will say, well, I am getting the sleep, but they're just not getting that restful sleep. So they're still feeling exhausted when they wake up in the morning. So the idea is to get the body into, not just surface sleeping, but get the body into like that really good, restful deep sleep.
Yeah, some of the products from Natural Factors that out of that Stress Relax line, you have Stress Relax. It's actually called that, where you have in that line Tranquil Sleep and so on in that whole line. Then you have from Natural Factors Ashwagandha, the Sensoril as a freestanding product. You have the Serenity Formula. If you find that the Pharma GABA is not getting it through the day, you can try that Serenity Formula during the day. That often helps too. And you have 5-HTP freestanding, suntheanine freestanding product, and so on. So there's a whole line of supplements from Natural Factors. But the adrenal formula has you ticked off a number of ingredients in that adrenal formula.
Well, it's interesting too because the Serenity formula by Stress Relax and the Adrenosense are quite
similar.
Like they're quite similar, and they're targeting the same area. So adrenal supportive herbs that are called adaptogens, so they help the body adapt and cope a lot better. But yeah, some of those herbs that are found in both those formulas are, you mentioned, like the ashwagandha, rhodiola. So again, they've been targeted as these adaptogenic herbs because they help with calming the nervous system. They also help with modulating cortisol levels, so making sure that the cortisol levels are, healthy and higher during the day, and then helping to calm those cortisol levels at night. So, by taking that extra adrenal support to treat the underlying root cause and rebalancing those cortisol levels, but then taking extra support, whether you need extra melatonin, whether it's extra magnesium or Pharma GABA at night, as just more of an effect, is going to just help to break that cycle.
That Serenity Formula, don't let the title mislead you. You don't take that before you go to bed necessarily. You can take that during the day. It has Sensoril in it, the trademarked ashwagandha. It has eleuthero in it, which is an extract. They have lavender in it. They have rhodiola in it. Those are the ingredients that I see in that product. That's a nice product to take. It's very similar to the adrenal product that Dr. Show was talking about. Visit naturalfactors.com. Those products are sold in throughout North America and other places on the planet. We come back, we'll have the LTN health question of the day. Who knows? It may have something to do with sleep.
Are your joints feeling out of date and stiff? Is that old sports injury flaring up? Is your body aching from the daily wear and tear at work? Body Vigor's Joint Ready keeps you at the ready for any joint pain that gets out of line. Unfortunately, as we age, joint pain becomes more common. Body Vigor's Joint Ready can help provide relief so you can continue to go about your day. Our formula contains sulfated forms of glucosamine and chondroitin. Studies show that these sulfated forms are more effective than regular glucosamine bound to hydrochloride. Joint Ready promotes a healthy inflammatory response, facilitates cartilage synthesis, and provides additional antioxidants. Keep your joints at the ready with Body Vigor's Joint Ready, exclusively on Amazon.com.
Here's the LTN health question of the day. Well, this show's a lot of fun. I learned so much, right? So much to learn, so little time.
It flies. It really does. It flies by.
Could do 3 hours easily. Dr. Marita Show has been is the guest today. We've been talking about sleep. Boy, I'll tell you, really underrated. It is so critical to health, wellness, and well-being. Can affect your longevity, literally how long you live, affect the quality of your life and whatnot. And all these different, pharmacological approaches. You have non-pharmacological approaches and treatments. And most treatments use patient-reported sleep diaries, okay? I'm getting to the question here, to measure outcome. And they use different criteria to measure what the issue is with the patient. Things like total sleep time, sleep onset latency, and number of nocturnal awakenings. Those kind of data are collected when you're trying to figure out a protocol or a treatment protocol for the patient, pharmacological or non-pharmacological. You need to know those things. And you have the patient fill out a diary. Here's the question. What is this statement true or false? Sleep onset latency. That's one of the criteria used to help make a diagnosis or set up a treatment protocol. Sleep onset latency, true or false? Sleep onset latency, SOL, is the length of time it takes to go from full wakefulness to sleep. Is that true or false? Now, this is a case where I didn't give the answer ahead of time during my conversation with Dr. Show. Sleep onset latency is the amount of time it takes to go from full wakefulness to a state of sleep. Is that sentence true or is it false? Here's the number to call to win a $25 supplement gift card. You got a 50-50 chance of getting it right, so guess.
877-897-8255. That's 877-897-8255.
Have you ever suffered from insomnia, Dr. Show?
Thankfully, no.
Have you ever been anybody close to you that you've had to deal with suffer from sleep, disturbance and whatnot?
My husband on occasion has had some sleep issues, more so when he was doing shift work, but which would make sense. But we took care of it like right away. Like we didn't let it go bad.
Good.
So,
well, he's
in his case, like the Tranquil Sleep worked really, really well, and the Pharmagaba worked well too.
He's lucky to have you around. There are a number. There are a number of approaches, therapies for dealing with sleep, as you well know. There's an interesting one. It's called paradoxical intention therapy. Do you know what that is, by any chance?
No, I don't.
Okay. The patient, what they do with paradoxical intention therapy, the patient confronts his or her fear of sleeplessness by staying awake. That's why it's called that, paradoxical.
Oh.
What it does, it decreases concern about the consequences of lack of sleep and decreases performance anxiety about falling asleep. And they report that the patients who undergo cognitive therapy, by the way, do not necessarily improve their sleep parameters, but they have increased satisfaction with their sleep patterns. At least they get that. So it's an interesting approach. Then there are relaxation therapies, meditation, hypnosis. These are all very legitimate ways or therapies to deal with insomnia besides, the different supplements that we talk about or the compounds in them. So, some even do acupuncture, I suspect. Have you ever had a patient do hypnosis for sleep, for insomnia?
That's a good question.
Yeah, that's an interesting approach.
Yeah. I think maybe one or maybe two cases, but I think they need to do more. Like, I think it needs to be
Supported.
the hypnosis with other things that they're doing as well. Yeah.
Is that Pazlina? Yeah. Pazlina in Clearwater, Florida. Welcome to the show. It's great to have you on.
Thank you very much. It's my first time.
I know. Did I mispronounce your name? How do you say your name?
Pavlina.
Pazlina. Sounds Russian to me.
Macedonian, you're right.
Yeah.
Orthodox.
Uh-huh. My Garko is Ukrainian. You know that, right? My last name?
Yes.
It's Ukrainian. Although my
my last name is Domowski.
Oh, okay.
Now you got it. You're going to think it's Polish.
Yeah. Well, it's crazy. I love all the ethnic and intricacies.
Slavic. We call them all Slavics.
Yes, I know. My dad was...
We're all Slavic.
Yeah, my father spoke 4 or 5 languages fluently, and I tell you fluently, and knew the syntax as well.
I do too.
Polish, English, Russian.
6 of them.
Yeah, see? And yeah, I get it. So was my sentence or my statement about sleep onset latency when I defined it as the amount of time it takes to go from full wakefulness to a state of sleep. Is that sentence true or false?
Yes, it's true.
It is true.
Very true.
It's called SOL. And congratulations. I'm glad you called. And thank you for listening to the show. Thank you for doing that. Do you catch it?
One of my neighbors told me about your radio station, and they tell me to listen to it. And I started listening to it as of yesterday, and then I said, well, I'll make a phone call and see if it's true that people do win.
Well, it is true. Yeah, we don't make it up.
That's what I called.
Well, thank you. And welcome to Let's Talk Nutrition.
Much.
Yeah, please stay with us and be a regular listener, and you tell somebody else too. We appreciate that. And someday you can call and speak Russian with me on the air, okay?
Okay, sure will.
All right. You take care.
Thank you very much.
Oh, it's my pleasure. You take care. Dr. Show, take care of yourself and get some sleep.
Thank you. You too.
Natural Factory products are sold throughout North America and fine health stores throughout North America. Visit their website, naturalfactors.com. Give my best to everybody there at the company at Natural Factors, Dr. Show.
I will. Thank you.
Have a wonderful day. Take care of yourselves. Get a good night's sleep because your health is your wealth.